With the rising cost of living in Canada, many are struggling to pay rent and put food on the table, let alone deal with car repairs. Chris Ferland, an auto repair business owner in Edmonton, is doing his part to help. I recently sat down with Chris to discuss his vision behind Good News Auto and to hear his incredible story. Chris, we're so thrilled to be here in your shop. It's a beautiful space. The front rooms of this shop, they're beautiful as well, incredible for your clients. This business has really thrived and become quite a significant ministry in the Edmonton area. You have this program called Jumpstart Program where people can apply if they don't have the means to get their car repaired, people who need their car to go to work, people who need their car to take their family from place A to place B, single parents who might just have one income. Yeah. The Jumpstart Program is an incredible initiative, and how can people apply for it? What does that look like as it unfolds when a customer comes in?
There's a few criteria, so they have to be employed or have a letter of employment. And they have to obviously have a vehicle, and there has to be a real need there because they have to be able to show that they can continue to maintain their vehicle. Yeah. But for the ones that are on assistance that do come and apply, then what we do is we have our $250 grant. So the application process, they have to provide their income, their budget, where they spend their money, how they spend their money. It's pretty in depth, and it's a little bit intimidating, but it's kind of designed that way, so we can weed out the ones that really need it. So
now you're opening it up, so actually your paying clients can help pay it forward.
Yeah.
And that's it's a sticker kind of system. Yeah. Tell us a bit more about that.
So customers can come in and they can, if they like what we do, if they want to contribute, if they want to be a part of the family that way, then they can, they write their name on a sticker, they circle the amount that they want, and they can put it on the wall. And we want to fill up all the walls in the front of the shop with stickers and have people to be able to say, you know what, hey, that's my name. I helped with that, and just create community.
It's so important, so powerful. Going back to when you were quite young, today you're a strong person of faith, but when you were younger, 6, 7, 8, there was a lot going on in your household. What was happening at that stage in your life?
Yeah, so I grew up in a time when alcoholism was pretty rampant, and my father loved to drink. He didn't know how to love. He wasn't taught that from his father. My mom, on the other hand, was a believer, and she held it all together.
Your mom, Pat, she's quite a hero to me, and it's incredible to hear her resilience and her courage. Later you shared the story about how she ended up reconciling with your father once he was sober, and they were back together. But these experiences for you as a child of, alcoholism and an unsafe home at times due to your father's issues, those created seedbeds of some probably troubling emotions and worldviews. And in many ways, you started to self-medicate in your teens and moving on. Yeah. By the time you met your wife, Kimberly, in 1998, what was the state of your life at that stage?
I was on the streets in Vancouver. I was a crack cocaine addict, and that's all I did. I stole from people, and I did crime. And that all started when I was in grade 5, is when I started smoking drugs and drinking. Which is unthinkable when you think about it. So I was in a recovery house. I was still using, and that's when I met her. I was 126 pounds.
And yet you meet Kimberly at a lunch that a church has put on in Stanley Park?
Yeah, in Stanley Park, yeah.
And she sees the real you.
Yeah.
And you and Kimberly, you got married and you're serving God together. You started to... you had this business, you had things building in your life. And it's not the end of God speaking to you very clearly. There was one day, even through 2 vehicles, God spoke to you so clearly.
Yeah.
Tell us that story.
Yeah. So we bought our first brand new vehicle. It was a big deal. 2002. I've come from where I was to having a job and bought a vehicle, and it was brand new. And so I was so full of pride. And I remember I was washing the vehicle in the driveway, and I was just looking at this vehicle like, wow, I've arrived, right? Look at me go. And next thing you know, there's a lifted up truck that's driving down our street, and he's listening to the music I like, and it's a brand new truck. And I'm looking at this truck, and I'm like, wow, that thing's amazing. And then I looked at her car, and I was like, basically my mind was like, this thing's a piece of junk. Like, I want that. But meanwhile, out of the corner of my eye, there was a little something pink. I didn't know what it was. And it caught my eye. I ignored it, and then it caught my eye again. And I opened it up, and it had the Bible verse on there. What good is it for a man to gain the whole world and yet forfeit his very soul? That has impacted my heart. Probably planting a seed for business to have a social business that is God's shop. I mean, this is God's shop. It's His money. It's not mine, right?
You know, when we receive help from other people and we receive help from God, it's so life-changing. Mm-hmm. And your late wife, Kimberly, helped you at one point when you met, and she continued to help you in many ways. And when she got terminally ill with cancer, she helped you on your grief journey prior to her even passing.
Yeah, she had incredible insight. She really helped encourage me to look past the grief and to move forward. You know, moving forward was something that I was ready for. Yeah. And it's brought me to probably the next thing you're going to ask me about. So, yeah.
That's right. And Shalene, this wonderful, wonderful woman that God has sent your way, and the woman you are now engaged to. And now with Shalene, you are serving God together. Mm-hmm. But about 1.5 years ago, you had an encounter with God that completely changed your life.
Yeah. For probably 20 some odd years, I was always jealous of the relationship that I seen that people had with Christ. I would look at them and I would be, why can't I have that? Like, why don't I feel that connection? You know, they would be in church and they'd be singing and crying and smile and tears rolling down their face. And Kimberly would do that. I'd come home from work, she'd be on the floor in the house with the music cranked, and she'd be sobbing these happy tears. And I wanted that. And I never, ever, ever felt that I had that. So I'm in the hot tub and I'm crying out to God, right? It's an emotional year. And I was having a real conversation with him. I was like, why? And this wind comes up, and it's about 15 seconds. And he's like, I can't give you what they have, but I can give you something for you. I have something special for you. Huh. And that moment, changed my life, and will continue to change my life, because God spoke to me in the most profound way, and He saw me.
It sounds like God moved in such a fresh and new way in that moment in the hot tub, and your heart changed. Mm-hmm.
It feels incredible to know that God saw me and seen me and heard me. But it goes back to when I sobered up 26 years ago. The reason why, or the activity or the event that happened, it was actually the last day that I was planning on being around. I went and bought a bunch of drugs and a bunch of booze after stealing from somebody, and I went downtown and I was by a bridge, and I basically told God that, you know, if you're real, don't let me catch a buzz, right? And I sat there and I drank and I smoked and I drank and I smoked, and I didn't catch a buzz. I was completely sober, and I started crying because I felt so invisible. I'm by a bridge. I'm clearly distraught. Nobody's stopping. It's like nobody even saw me, right? And so I said those 7 words, you know, if you're real, God, if you're real, please help me. And And he did. And I went to detox. I can't explain how it happened. I can't explain what happened. But that day, I really, truly wanted to not live anymore. I wanted to not feel what I was feeling. I accepted Jesus in my heart when I was 7 years old. And it took that long for me to be able to go full circle so many times with my relationship with him to where I was ready for him to show up. And man, did he show up.
For that person watching right now who is in such a dark place or feeling stuck or feeling unseen by God, but wondering if some of the coincidences happening in their lives could be God moving, what would you say to them?
Probably the same 7 words that I said on the day I sobered up, which was, God, if you're real, please help me, right? Don't give up. You may feel like you're not noticed, that you're invisible, that you don't matter, but you do. You do matter. You know, and God loves you very much, and he sees you. And just ask him. Just ask him. He'll show you.
Thank you, Chris. Such wisdom in your words, and thank you for letting us see God's story at work in your life.
Thank you.